Welcome to How Preschool Teachers Do It.
This is Alison Kentos. I am an early childhood educator.
And this is Cindy Tarabush. I am an early childhood consultant.
This podcast is for parents and early childhood professionals.
Let our experience and research-based knowledge become your guide. Hey, preschool peeps.
Hi, peeps.
For this episode, I'm going to get on yet another soapbox. Can you believe it? Out of all the soapboxes I've been on, we're going to pull out another one.
Every week we're on a soapbox.
Yeah, I enjoy my soapboxes. But I do have another one because of conversations that I've had recently with a lot of professionals where there seems to be this theme of judgment. People are judging like sort of on all levels, judging coworkers, judging families, judging children, judging.
Yeah.
We're always talking about how you need to have a positive and strength-based environment. And we need to be supportive and partnering with children and families. And you can't do that while you're judging.
And It's not a true partnership.
Yeah. No, you're either supporting or judging, but you're really not doing both, because the minute you start to judge, the support is kind of out the window, no matter how much you might think you are or trying. So I would love for early childhood settings to declare themselves a judge-free zone and make it kind of a visual campaign in your programs. That this is going to be a judge-free zone. You know, when I was in school, they used to have drug-free zones. They still do, right?
Drug-free zones. They still do. Yes.
Right.
It's like I think my town is now a stigma-free zone.
I love that.
Yeah. I like that too.
We are a stigma-free zone.
Yeah.
We are a bias-free zone, whatever. But I think we start early childhood settings with this is a judge-free zone. And wouldn't that be a nice visual for families to see?
Yes.
Like even a bulletin board that says, this is a judge-free zone. We're here to support, to partner, to share, to collaborate. To work as a team.
Yeah.
All on a bulletin board.
Yeah. And I think it would, because there's also a lot of parents judging other parents too. So I think that would maybe put it in the forefront of their mind of like, oh, I shouldn't judge how that family is or how that family parents or what they do. It'll at least put it in people's minds not to do that anymore. If it's right there every time you walk into the door.
Now, granted, families are still not welcome everywhere because of the pandemic.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
But I think it's a good visual reminder for the staff because, folks, it's not just families judging each other. Many professionals judge each other and judge families and judge children. It's sort of part of the culture. It's especially, I think, with social media, it's become a real part of the culture to pass judgment, which is, when you think about it, so destructive and so sad. So having the visual, if you're thinking, well, I would put up the visual, but the families don't come in, I frankly don't care. I think it needs to be up for the entire staff. And then we can communicate to families that we are promoting our program as a judge-free zone, or we are entering this spring with a campaign to be a judge-free zone.
Yeah, because imagine how much more parents would tell you if they felt they weren't going to get judged.
And why are we judging, folks?
Why are we judging? Yeah.
I'm consistently telling professionals that what happens at home is different than what happens in your program. And honestly, other than learning about it so that you understand the family and child, what happens at home is inconsequential.
Yeah.
It bothers me when people say things like, the families are going to lie. The child is this way because,
I feel like when you say the family is going to lie, you're judging them before you even know them. You have it in your head already, like, okay, everybody lies and there's just this wall that's put up and you're not even trying to get to know these people.
Also, as we have said in prior episodes, people get to choose how they're going to parent their children. And it's very, very much rooted in culture and their own family culture, both ethnicity, background, family culture, all the different things that create diversity. How people choose to parent is rooted in that. And
Yeah.
folks, if you work in a program, you have no control over that.
Yeah.
And families, you also don't have control over other families. And what is the biggest waste of time in the whole world? Talking about and thinking about things you have no control over. I mean, ask me, I do it all the time. So I'm always having to think about what I do have control over in my life.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And sometimes I have to realize I don't have, there are things I have control over. There are other things I don't have control over. And so I have to concentrate my efforts on what I have control over.
Go. You have to let things go.
So you have control over your family, you have control over your classroom. You don't have control over other people and what goes on in other places.
Right.
And when we put out, this is a judge-free zone, we want children to learn that the goal is not judging other people. The goal is learning about other people and accepting the many differences.
Accepting them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I saw this great meme on Facebook the other day, and it was like all about like, what is acceptance? And it had one, and it's like, it is raining. And under it would be like, oh my God, my whole day is ruined. It rained, it rained, it rained. This is terrible. I'm wet. It was like all this complaints. And then over here it said, it is raining. And underneath it says, yes, it is. That's, you know what I mean?
Yes, it is.
That's accepting. It's accepting that it's raining, and you're not going to like complain or try to change the day or anything like that. It was brilliant.
We should totally do that. So a co-teacher or a teacher in another classroom does something that, let's say, would not be your choice. No one's going to get hurt, right?
Right.
No one's in danger's way. Nothing terrible will happen. It was just a different choice than what you would have made. So I think you do have to say something like, that person chose to do this. Yes, they did.
Yes, they did. Yeah. Right. Or like, and it's okay. Like I used to say to them, like, okay, it's all right that you do things different than me. Okay. And I would walk away. Like, I don't care if you're doing it different in your classroom. Is anybody getting hurt? No. Okay.
Right.
That's your way.
This family chose to give their children a lot of time on screens. Yes, they did.
Okay.
So now the question is, what can I do differently in my setting? I can reduce the screen time knowing that.
Screen time. Yeah.
Right. My coworker decided to take the children outside without cleaning up the classroom. Yes, they did.
Yes, they did. Okay.
We will clean up the classroom when we come back in.
Later, when we come back. Yeah.
All right. So
right?
it's a lot of,
it's not,
yes, they did. I love that.
Yes, they did. Yeah, it was great.
Yes, they did.
If I could find it, I'll send it to you so we could add it to our.
We'll put it on the website.
It was great.
Or something.
Yeah, it was great because I was like, this is exactly. Yes, they did. You know,
you needed to tell someone something, and they got very angry and defensive. Yes, they did.
Yes,
and
they did.
every human being is entitled to their feelings, and we need to make space for their feelings.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. That's it.
Right? This is a judge-free zone. All right. So maybe it should look like the communications, whether they're through an app, an email, or on a bulletin board, should look like this is a judge-free zone. We are here to support, to uphold, to partner with, to collaborate. Whatever they did, yes, they did.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
Right. Yeah.
I often talk to people about, how we teach children rules, and we teach them 3 different rules, and this should be displayed, and this should be taught to families. And I think the judge-free zone should be as well, because when we're not judging, we are often gossiping, and gossip is poison. And children learn that from us. Why are we so apt to gossip? Because we grew up with it. It's been all around us.
Yes.
It's what we know. It's a part of the ether, right? It's part of what we do. So if we are raising and teaching children in judge-free zones, then you know what they learn? Hold your judgment, be judge-free, accept the fact that other people will make decisions and do things that might be different than what you think or would do. And if no one is going to get hurt, so be it.
Right.
So I hope
And
you all
then
will get
these,
on this campaign with me. Go ahead, Ellen.
because then these children will grow up and not be like gossipy like we are, because we were raised like that. But it won't even be in their mind or their culture. They'll just be like, yep, that's him. That's who he is. Okay, cool.
And you know what? Today's world is worse than judgment. It's like
it's
hateful judgment.
It's hateful judgment.
Mm-hmm.
Hateful. It's not even just like judging anymore. It's not even just gossiping anymore. It is so much worse than that, I feel.
Everybody's talking about everybody's decisions. Everybody is judging each other's pandemic decisions, politics, opinions. It's why live and let live, folks. I've said it before.
Live and let live. And and you shouldn't be judging and criticizing somebody for being who they are, period. Like, that's just not right. And all those decisions are what make that person who they are.
You know what would be an interesting statistic? What percentage of the day or how many hours in a day do people spend thinking about the actions of other people and or judging other people? It would be so interesting. There are studies and statistics that show things about how time is used in early childhood settings, for example, that let's say a certain percentage of time is spent on routines, a certain percentage of time is spent on intentional experiences. And that's why we have to include interactions and education even in routines, because otherwise a lot of time is not used purposefully. If we were to take some sort of, maybe it exists, maybe somebody knows and can let us know, but maybe there's a statistic out there. And if not, I would love to have it. How many hours a day are we essentially wasting on placing judgment on the things that are happening around us that are someone else's choice entirely and beyond our control? And again, that's not why we're here, right? The National Association for the Education of Young Children gives us an ethical code of conduct and statement of commitment. And as part of that, we are supposed to be partnering and upholding and supporting and doing all those things.
Yeah.
Nowhere in our ethics does it say be sure to judge everybody.
Yeah. Imagine how much lighter you would feel if you didn't spend all that time judging other people, and how much more you could get accomplished during the day if your mind wasn't constantly worried about what other people were doing.
I also worry about judgments of children, because that takes place a lot too, where we declare, we as adults, I'm using like the royal we as adults declare a child to be a certain way. Or we decide the child is that way because of something that must be what the family is doing, must be
something else.
Right. We decide, okay, this child is XYZ. The child is not their behavior. The behavior is a result of a child's need to communicate something to us.
Yeah.
But the child is not their behavior, their condition, their special need, their disability, even the child is not their accomplishments, is not their kudos, is not. The child is something else. And if there's an accomplishment, great. And if behavior needs to be addressed, that's part of childhood.
Right.
But instead we use these adjectives and this verbiage that judges the child. That child is a climber. That child is a runner. That child is too timid. That child is afraid of everything. That child, those are judgments. It's not what you see with your eyes and hear with your ears. To say that a child tends to withdraw when new things approach or new people approach is different than saying that child is too shy, that child is too timid, that child is afraid, that the child tends to withdraw. I can see that with my eyes. The child spoke frequently during large group time is very different than that child is disruptive.
Right.
There's a big difference.
The way you're phrasing things matters.
It does. So we have to be phrasing things for our judgment-free zone, which is a place where we are here to support, accept, acknowledge, uphold, partner with, collaborate with. And if I'm looking at a child thinking this child is always disruptive, again, how do I form a relationship? How do I partner?
Right. But also, I feel like the child is not always going to be like, when you say like the child is disruptive, it makes it seem like that child is always that way all the time, no matter what. And most likely it's maybe a very small portion of the day where the child might talk a little bit too much in meeting time or something. And it's not, but by saying he's disruptive, you've labeled this person, you know what I mean? And that label goes with him through every single class, all the way up through schooling. And that's not fair to him.
It's really not. Nothing makes me more ill at ease than when someone says to me, "Oh, she's a biter." No, she's a child.
Yeah. She's a child who
has a lot of things to learn about the world. And that child tends to communicate through biting.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The child is a hitter. Okay. No, the child is a child. The child is using whatever tools they have in their box to express themselves. It sort of upsets me equally to the statements like, the family lets them get away with everything. The family.
Yeah.
First of all, you barely know this family. You
are not in their house.
Yes.
You have no idea.
And I would pretty much bet that we have all made decisions that other people would disagree with based on our present circumstances.
Yeah.
I like to believe that all human beings, regardless of age, are doing the best that they can in the moment they're in.
Yes.
And maybe doing whatever we're thinking, oh, I might have handled that a little differently, was the best that person could do in that moment.
At that moment, yeah. Because you have no idea what that person went through the entire couple hours beforehand. Because I've realized that, like, there's times that I've maybe lashed out at something and I didn't mean to, but the 4 hours I had before that were absolute hell. You know what I mean? So it's like I needed to release that, and now I'm fine. Don't judge me on this one moment of my life. You know what I mean? Like, you have no idea what people are going through. Yeah.
Don't even judge me on a 3-year period of my life. That's a snippet of my life. Don't judge me by any of that. And in fact, don't judge me. But
just don't judge me, period.
How about that?
How about that?
Everybody has their reasons for doing things.
Yes.
And sometimes professionals will say, I don't want to work in a place that has me on camera all the time, where the families can tune in. There are things like that.
Yeah.
I don't want them to be looking and judging things by a snippet of time in my classroom. But we do the same thing to families. Likewise, families will sometimes judge by a snippet, right, of what goes on with a professional. Unless you're willing to throw open your blinds and doors and have the whole world see everything you do, and I don't think you are, then you're hoping people don't do that to you as well. So I'm not, when we have, and I think the bottom line for me is this: when we declare it a judge-free zone, we remind people of our values, and we try to instill that value in children, because if adults do something, children will also do it.
Yes.
I have often in my work with children heard them reflect back my phrasing, my tone of voice, things I tend to do or say.
Yeah.
And I remember there were times where I would just laugh and go, oh, that was totally me. I say that.
Yes.
Right. Or a family would come and say, you know what my child said last night, and say something that they know that I tend to say.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Or with whatever my local accent is, or whatever.
Right. Right.
So they do that. They're also doing all of the judging and gossiping and all that. Sometimes people will say, oh, by the time they're in pre-K, they can be so mean. Yes, that's true. So here's my question. They weren't born mean.
Right.
For the most part. I mean, we're talking about for the most part. People are not born mean, right? They learned it somewhere.
I know. So where do you think they learned it from?
Folks, where do you think they learned it from? And it was not just television or video games.
No.
They had to have had real life examples of me.
They are listening to you at your dinner parties talk about Aunt Joe over here. You know what I mean? Yes, and they think that's an appropriate thing to do.
They are always listening
Yeah.
to you and trying to be you and emulate you.
Yeah.
And then we do things like judge. And
Yeah.
if you think, well, I don't say these things out loud, it shows in your body language, it shows in your
Yes.
gestures and facial expressions. People know who you like and who you don't like and who you're judging and who you're
Yes.
not judging just by how you sit, stand, and how your face looks.
Mhm. Yep.
So can't we
Yeah.
teach them that we are full of acceptance, that as the world
Yeah.
should be, as I wish the world
Yeah.
were?
Yes.
All right, peeps. So you're going to declare yourselves judge-free zones,
Judge-free zones.
even if it's just in
Even if
your
it's just you. Yeah.
in your room, in your home, right? This is a
Yeah.
judge-free zone. You can put something up in your classroom to remind all adults who enter and all children
Yeah.
with pictures of acceptance and partnership and all that. This is a judge-free zone. But
Yeah.
remember, if we're teaching that to children, you also have to practice it.
You actually have to do it. Yeah. Yeah.
If any of you have anything that you already have up or do in your programs related to this, please contact us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go to howpreschoolteachersdoit.com's contact form and let us know, or send us a Facebook message. We consistently receive contact from all over the world now. We just love it. So please feel free to contact us and let us know and give us permission to talk about it. We might in the future.
Yeah. Oh, that
Never
would be
know.
fun. Yeah.
Never know.
Yeah.
All right, folks, I hope you go back and reflect. All change starts with
Yes.
reflection. And think about this and think about how you can promote this in your program to have a generation that does a little better.
Yeah. We can do it.
Yeah. Okay, folks. Catch you next time on the podcast.
Bye, peeps.